Welcome to the Random Encounter Show. I'm DeathStalker V. We're continuing our deep delve into Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Now, if Tunnels and Trolls is something that you're interested in and you want to know more about it, sort of in a general overview sense, make sure you check out Part 1. Now that we're to Part 2, we're going to be taking a look at what is probably the more popular aspect of Tunnels and Trolls in general, and that's the solo RPG adventure modules. There are a ton of them that have been published since 1976. In this episode, we're mainly going to focus over the published materials that came out under the Deluxe Edition. Of course, we will also be taking a look at some of the older stuff as well that I find useful. One thing to keep in mind that we said in Part 1, but we'll reiterate it here for those of you who didn't watch it, is that Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, even though it is the newest and greatest edition of the game, it's still compatible with everything that's ever been published for Tunnels and Trolls all the way back to 1975. We'll also be taking a look at some related material that has Tunnels and Trolls tie-ins and Tunnels and Trolls sister games, one of which became the true successor of Tunnels and Trolls when Flying Buffalo Incorporated was sold to the new company. Now, before we get down on the table, which I have completely loaded with Tunnels and Trolls goodness, we're going to say thank you to all of our new subscribers. The Random Encounter Show is all about community. So I want to tell you that if you check down below in the description, there's links to our Facebook page and our Facebook group. You're more than welcome to come join in and we'll be glad to have you. So let's go down to the table and go Tunnels and Trolls crazy. Alright guys, I'm down here with my personal collection of Tunnels and Trolls stuff, or at least most of it. As we go through this, because there is so much that I want to take a look at, I'm not going to be able to do a fully detailed analysis of each and everything. We would be here for hours upon hours. I'm going to show and talk about everything on the table. If this stuff interests you, stay tuned to the Random Encounter Show. A lot of these things we will devote an episode to at a future date. Now, when it comes to Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, I've asked Steve and I've compared notes. I think we have everything that was published, especially in the adventure modules, under the Deluxe Edition banner. Now, there will be variations and such things that I don't have. Maybe a solo adventure was published with wow, guys, sorry for the interruption. A huge pack of coyotes is somewhere around the house. Anyways, I won't have every variation of some of the adventure modules. Some of them were published like on Kickstarter. They had a black and white version and a color version and such. I'm coming in after the fact a lot of time off Kickstarter stuff, so I may not have every variation of certain things, but I'm pretty sure we have it all. Now, most of you are here probably for the solo RPG adventure modules. If you're not familiar with these modules, they are in the choose your own adventure style. The books are laid out in numbered or lettered paragraphs, and you progress by choosing options which tells you which paragraph to turn to next. It does present a lot of limited choices, but it does a great job of taking the place of a game master, especially for beginners. Now, with the deluxe version solo modules, a lot of these are classic modules from the past of Tunnels and Trolls, but they got a deluxe treatment. It's not that they just maybe got a new artwork or they got updated with some of the additional rules in the deluxe edition, Many of them actually got new content made for them as well. They're bigger and larger adventure modules. Another thing I'll mention is the adventure modules are very unique from each other. Not every single one is just a dungeon crawl. Not every one is exploration. There's all kind of stuff going on here and all kind of different themes and adventures that'll keep you interested in this system. Now, looking at the solo adventure modules, I got Buffalo Castle, the Deluxe Edition Buffalo Castle, on top. I'm choosing this one first because Buffalo Castle was the first of its kind. It was the first solo adventure RPG module ever created, 1976 by Rick Loomis, illustrated by Liz Danforth. The Deluxe Edition has a new cover, but it still has some of the classic art and stuff inside it that the original the first iteration of this book had. One thing I will tell you about the Flying Buffalo Incorporated published solo adventure modules is that they are lavishly illustrated. Unlike other attempts at doing this for other game systems that imitated what Flying Buffalo Incorporated had created for Tunnels and Trolls, every page normally has some kind of great illustration related to the story. So it's just a feast for the eyes. But Buffalo's classic. It is a classic dungeon crawl. A villager is sick and they need a potion to save the villager. And there's a mad wizard in a castle nearby. And it's up to you to go get the potion from the wizard. Very good solo introduction to this style, but also to Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls itself to get a feel for things. I really recommend that if you've got the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls rulebook and you want to try your first solo, this is the place to start if you ask me. Up next we have Ken St. Andre's Death Trap Equalizer. It's another dungeon crawl, but this one is a little bit different. You have a guy, I can't remember his name, it was a hilarious name, Ken St. Andre style, but you have a guy who's sort of over this dungeon and knows that there's riches and treasures in it, but he's not brave enough to go in it. So he actually sells almost like tickets for adventurers to go in and try their luck inside these dungeons, and he offers them 3 different rings which represent 3 different paths into the dungeon. Just a fantastic solitaire with some good replay value on it. A thing to note about these is normally somewhere on the adventure, more than likely on the back of the adventure, it'll tell you for your characters what's the most appropriate style character, a warrior or maybe a wizard. It'll tell you like levels, this is a adventure for 1st level or 5th level and how many different personal adds they have for combat and such. That way you can ensure that you're not going to be bored playing with a character that's got too high of a level, or you won't try to go in with a character that's too low of a level. Up next is one of my favorites of all time, and that's Naked Doom. Okay, in Troll World, one of the main areas of the campaign setting is the city of Kazan. If you're captured by the city guard, you break a law or whatever, oftentimes they will run you through an underground labyrinth stripped to nothing but a loincloth. And it's full of traps and dangerous creatures and such. And it's up to you to try to run through this dungeon and escape with your life. Just a fantastic adventure module. Up next, we have Alice and Weird World. Now, this is a very special module. And it's the only of its kind that I know about. There was an adventure published in the early days of the Tunnels and Trolls when the Choose Your Own Adventure style adventure module started. It was called Weird World. It stayed out of print for a long time and it had some issues. Steve Crompton actually sat down and he took Weird World and he combined it with the world of Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. And I absolutely love it. And it's filled with just classic art from Wonderland. And the adventure's been rewritten to take place in a Wonderland-style environment, our campaign setting. You actually get to play as Alice. You get to find things like the Jabberwocky. It's absolutely great. And one thing we will note here is that many of these have extensive write-ups on how to play these modules. Most every single module is going to have here's how you approach it. But several of these, like Alice in Weirdland, actually have a section devoted to pretty much all the rules you'll need from Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls to play any of these adventure modules. Another thing to note is when you're in the game book, pay attention. There will often be sections in the back that include a magic matrix. That you'll turn to that when you cast a spell at certain paragraph entries or certain places in your adventure to see what happens. There will also be things like wandering monster tables and treasure generators. Those are important as you progress through, and you will want to take full advantage of what the solo has to offer. Up next is another. I've got quite a few favorites, guys. This one takes place in the City of Gold, or the City of Terrors. And this was written by Michael Stackpole, and it is one of the more classically well-known adventure modules for Tunnels and Trolls. The deluxe treatment is fantastic. It's a beautiful solo to play. It has a lot of replay value in it. It's more of a city-style adventure. Up next is another big favorite of mine. You guys will find out over the course of the show as it progresses along, is I love arena fighting and pit fighting in my RPG games and other board games and stuff. This is another classic by Ken St. Andre, and it is the Arena of Kazan. Now this solo is very different from a lot of the other solos. It doesn't really portray an adventure. Instead, for whatever reason, maybe you're doing it for money and treasure or fame, or maybe you're doing it for freedom, you're going into the gladiator-style arena and battling various foes and creatures and such for entertainment value of the citizens of Kazan. I absolutely love it. The replay value here is very high, and the game scales along with your character, how successful they are, their level and their strength and everything that as they progress, the game scales with it. So a lot of replay value here if you enjoy gladiator-style combat, arena combat. I know I do. I absolutely love it. Up next we have a solo that was always sort of obscure, I guess, or a little lesser known. And as part of a Kickstarter, this one was given a deluxe treatment. It's another Michael Stackpole written solo adventure, and it is the Deluxe Sewer of Oblivion. Sewers of Oblivion is fantastic. It's a it's a special treat. It takes place in the City of Gold. You know, a lot of the stuff around the City of Gold in Troll World is written by Michael Stackpole. You know, that was sort of the area of Troll World that he developed. The Isle of Foron, if I remember correctly. But absolutely lovely solo adventure if you want to go underneath into the sewers. This was a big one. Ken St. Andre, Deluxe Agent of Death. A lot of replay value here in this one, guys. It's a fairly large solo adventure, and you'll definitely enjoy coming back to it and taking different things and stuff. It's open to any type of character, including rogues and wizards and such. And like I said, there's 3 separate short story adventures inside this one. So yeah, definitely one I recommend checking out. Up next, this one was a big one late in the life of Flying Buffalo Incorporated. It's Elven Lords Deluxe Edition. Absolutely just loved the cover of this adventure module. Liz Danforth, one of my favorite artists of all time, and she's not just an artist. We'll get into this later when we talk about the rules and stuff, but she's a game developer, she's a writer, she does all type of stuff. I'm absolutely a huge fan of her work. This is another one written by Michael Stackpole. It is a fairly large solo adventure that starts off in the city of Gull, and you're actually going to get to go adventure outside of the city and explore some of the elven culture and lore and such of Troll World. It's an absolute fantastic module to own. The artwork inside is fantastic. I know DeathStalker V is all over the place, but it's just an absolutely fantastic module. It includes the mini rules as well. This one came out on Kickstarter. Something about the way this was written back in the day, it was a very limited edition. Elven Lords was very limited edition sort of thing that Flying Buffalo did, I believe in the 80s. And for whatever reason, they could not reprint it, and they would not reprint it. So for the deluxe version, it got a full deluxe treatment with a lot of new content added to it. So the original stuff is there, but there's a lot more to it than the original edition. We're going to see some more of this in this video. Up next, and I believe this was the last of the original Flying Buffalo Incorporated Company's publications. I could be wrong. You can correct me in the comments if you wish. Treasures of the Mummy Queen. You know, so definitely something different to look into. And this was a limited edition. I'm not sure what it was limited to. Sometimes they write the stuff in there. Yeah, it's numbered and signed by Ken St. Andre. A lot of the solo adventure modules and stuff I have are signed by their authors or illustrators, somebody. Flying Buffalo, that was one great thing about it, is they just went above and beyond. But Treasures of the Mummy Queen, pretty lengthy adventure module and a really different theme from the others. You know, with the whole Egyptian style atmosphere of it. Up next we have one that I absolutely love as well, and it's completely different. It is Deluxe Goblin Lake. And this one you actually should play as a goblin character. And you get to see the world of goblins up close in Troll World. I absolutely love it. I love this kind of stuff. This one I found to be a pretty difficult solo. I'm not sure I've even finished it from cover to cover. I'm not sure. There's several parts that I know my characters have died and I've had to go back and restart and restart and restart. But I absolutely love it. It's a shorter solo adventure, but it's quite fun. Up next, we have a special little solo adventure that was sort of a promotional material. It's very short, but it's Grim Tina's Guard, Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls solo adventure by Ken St. Andre. This one, I'm not sure. Yeah, Flying Buffalo did this one, but they also did it along with Trollhalla Press, which is Ken St. Andre's, where he publishes a lot of his own independent stuff. Link below in the description of the video if you want to check out that, and on Drive-Thru RPG. But this one's pretty special because it ties in Grimtooth. We'll get into Grimtooth in a minute, but it ties in Grimtooth with Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Now, for some other Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls materials, okay, I wanted to bring up the fact that this exists. We talked about Tunnels and Trolls being a very popular game, maybe the #1 tabletop game in Japan. The company over there that handles it's called Group SNE, S-N-E. Flying Buffalo Incorporated got together, and it was a collaborative effort between Flying Buffalo and Group SNE in Japan to do the TNT Adventures Japan. Now, I absolutely love this book, and if you're new to Tunnels and Trolls, this is one of the best ways to learn the rules. And I'm going to show you that they did a story which is done in a comic style. I think it's manga or manga. Manga is what I call it. In a comic style that explain the characters as they adventure inside this story. They actually explain the rules and how to use them as they go. The TNT Adventures Japan book also contains some solo adventures. It contains some treasure generators. It contains some mini rules, and it also contains a GM adventure. So there's a whole lot to this book. If you can get your hands on it, it's well worth the price of admission. I also have one you may run into, which is pretty much the same book, different cover. It's TNT Adventures Japan Free RPG Day. Now this one is cut down. It's very brief. You're going to get part of the manga story. You're going to get one solitaire adventure with that and the mini rules. So there's much more to this if you get the TNT Adventures Japan full book versus the Free RPG Day book. Both of them are great though. I absolutely love it. And in fact, let's hold them both up here. I actually like the RPG Day cover better. I love the giant crab creature coming out of a treasure chest like a hermit crab. So, just fun stuff. Up next, we have some more Flying Buffalo Incorporated published stuff. These are Game Master adventures. This one is probably one of the more famous adventures for Tunnels and Trolls for a group to play. And it is the complete Dungeon of the Bear, Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. And their Game Master adventure modules are on the same standard of fantastic material that all the other stuff that they create are. So you're going to get full maps and descriptions, story hook ideas, everything in these GM adventures. But yeah, this is definitely a classic. It's by Jim Bear Peters. Yeah, he's got a long history with Tunnels and Trolls and creating material and working on the rule sets and different things. So definitely one you want to grab if you're going to be running group play and you want to buy a pre-made adventure. My throat's going dry. Next up, The Vaults of Korra, or Kahara. This is a GM adventure, a very large one. And it's fantastic. It's dark, it's grim, and it's a lot of fun. And there's also a separate choose your own adventure style solo adventure included in the back, along with full profiles of characters and NPCs and monsters and stuff that are used in this solo in this adventure module, written by A.R. Holmes and edited by Ken St. Andre. This one may be my favorite GM adventure written for Tunnels and Trolls of all times, and it stands up there against almost any other role-playing game that I can think of. It's definitely in the top of the list for me. Next up, we have the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls Adventures Compendium. Now this one's a lot of fun. It has 9 long out-of-print mini-solos by Ken St. Andre, Michael Stackpole, Liz Danforth, and Paul Creeman. Has 3 Game Master adventures in it. It also has a lot of rare, lost, and new art by Rob Carver. Him and his brother John, you're going to hear about. Steve Crompton and Liz Danforth. And what this was, is it was a sort of a collection of things from a magazine that Flying Buffalo published called The Sorcerer's Apprentice that centered around tunnels and trolls. We'll see it just in a few minutes. But I love that they've pulled a selection of different things from the magazine and put them in this book and gave them the deluxe treatment. Now I'm getting to where I can barely talk. But it's just full of artwork and full of goodness, you know. It's a fantastic resource to have. And it's one that's a little bit off the beaten path, even in Tunnels and Trolls. So, probably your best bet's PDF for that one, as far as I know. Even more deluxe material we got to cover here. This one comes from Bolt Thrower Press, and it's done along with Trollhalla. It's a Trollhalla friendly game. It is Alcazar's Caravan by Thomas Pugh. We'll get that on the camera there. I absolutely love this solo adventure, and it is a thick adventure. It is not published by Flying Buffalo Incorporated, but it is an authorized Tunnels and Trolls adventure game. Or solo adventure module, I should say. It's full of art as well, and it's got just tons of replay value for this solo adventure. There's also several magic matrices in it. You know, that this one's heavy, that if you want to play a wizard or a rogue or any magic using type character, that this one's going to be a great one for that. There's a huge loot generator, you know, just tons of stuff to mess with this solo. I absolutely love it. As to the availability of Alcazar's Caravan, I don't know. You know, I stumbled across this one. I don't even remember where I got it from. But I'm glad I got it. Oh. Next up, coming straight from the Troll Godfather, Ken St. Andre, a few things I picked up for Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. I don't think these have ever appeared on another YouTube video before. There might be a few things here that we've never seen on YouTube before. First one up is Hella's House of Dark Delights. Yeah, you might can imagine what this solo adventure entails. Let's just find some appropriate artwork and stuff. But yeah, it's got art in it. It's not heavily as illustrated as stuff coming straight from Flying Buffalo, but it's got a lot of good art in it. And this is more for the adults, okay? Nothing too crazy, you know, but it's definitely more of an adult-oriented solo adventure. But you're not going to find stuff like that on any other channel. Come on. This comes straight from Trollhalla Press by Ken St. Andre. When I picked this book up, I also picked up a few other things. Dealing with Troll World, the campaign setting. This is the Peacock continent of Troll World. It's a continent that's not talked about in the campaign setting for Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. But it's absolutely just really different and fantastic information for a really unique campaign setting that would be on this continent. And it's got your standard fare of having various maps and such in it. But yeah, if you love Troll World and you need a new place to explore, the Peacock continent is uniquely refreshing. Okay? It's not like anything that you've seen in any other campaign setting. I can promise you that. Next up, this was an odd little item and I just had to pick it up. In Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, and we'll see this in the next episode when we really dive into this book and explain the rules and take a look at the rules in detail. but one of the player kindreds, which are basically races for character creation. One of them are fairies, classical fairies. Short, they fly, they're innately magic, okay? This actually is a book, the Fairy Spell Book. And it's a short spell book that caters specifically to fairy characters. Absolutely love it. Now, as we move along, where should we go to next? We'll save some stuff. We'll save some of this special edition stuff for toward the end. We talked about the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Here you go. I have quite a few of these magazines, and they are magazines that were published by Flying Buffalo Incorporated. Liz Danforth, Michael Stackpole, Ken St. Andre, and many, many others were over the creation and maintaining and developing this magazine. And it is probably the greatest resource for Tunnels and Trolls that is not connected directly to rule books or adventure books and such. They always have a small or even large solo adventure in them. They also have the best fiction that's ever appeared in a RPG magazine. And to me, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, looking at it now and comparing it to other magazines of its era, this is what I would consider the greatest gaming magazine ever published if you like Tunnels and Trolls. Just the whole effort and everything that went into this magazine is mind-blowing. I still enjoy reading them to this day, and I'll pull them out randomly and give them a read-through. Fantastic. If you come across a lot of them on eBay for sale, or at a flea market, or a yard sale, or wherever, and you've got a chance to grab some of these magazines, I highly recommend you do it and check out what I'm talking about here. Older editions of Tunnels and Trolls. There's quite a few of them. Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls is the 8th edition in the United States of America. Other countries, such as France, they have 9 editions. Now, keep in mind when we say editions, there's been quite a few 0.5 editions, like 5.5 and 7.5 and such. So there's quite a number of rule books for Tunnels and Trolls. Deluxe is by far my favorite, but my second favorite, and one that you might look toward if you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, sort of a budget version of Tunnels and Trolls, but it comes in second place only to Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, and that's the Corgi edition of Tunnels and Trolls, published in the UK. Digest novel size books. I absolutely love these. I love the artwork. It's not the typical artwork you get with the American published stuff. I think his last name was Kirby. Give me 1 second here. Bear with me. We're going to look, and we're looking through the credits here and trying to figure out who we have. Josh Kirby. He did the cover and illustrations, and his Tunnels and Trolls Corgi edition by Ken St. Andre, edited by Liz Danforth. Now, this is the standard rule book. It's set up very much akin to the way they did Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. A lot of the special features of Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, such as a weapon index and different things, you're also going to find in the Corgi edition. Now, why did I say this might be considered a budget edition of Tunnels and Trolls? It has nothing to do with the material or anything. Under normal circumstances, you can find these books for around $10 or so on eBay and different places that sell them. WebSphere, they also go by Curated Corner. They did have a large selection of these books as well. We have the full edition here. And we're not just going to dig through the full edition, but I'm going to show you. It's only comprised of, I believe, 7 books. Yes, and they took some of the best of solo modules and published them for the rule set. Game, and one thing I love about this, here we go. One thing I absolutely love about the solo modules here, that all but the one, which is the City of Terrors by Michael Stackpole, the rest contain 2 solo adventures per book. So it's a fantastic way to get involved with the game and get some of the best solos for the game. This one is Sword for Hire and Blue Frog Tavern. Okay? So definitely recommended. Don't pay the crazy eBay prices. You see people trying to throw these books up for $50, $100, $250. The sky's the limit. Why not? Don't pay it. If you're patient and sit around, you'll find these books. Like I said, 5, 10, maybe 15 each. So it's an easy way to have an almost instant TNT collection to play. Now, with the Corgi edition, we talked about the TNT Japan. I thought it would be neat to show off one of my Japanese Tunnels and Trolls solo adventure game books. Okay, let me remove the tab there. This one was published from the Corgi set itself. And it is actually the Sword for Hire. And it shares the same cover that we have for the Corgi edition. Even though the Japanese edition is smaller, it actually shows more of the picture. This one's cropped. Absolutely love it. The Japanese books have a few neat things about them. Normally they're smaller in size, maybe for traveling or whatever. But one of the things I found very interesting for them is what all you would find inside the books. You know, such as this one. Let's see if the camera will focus there. You know, there's a blank character sheet. And there's one with a pre-generated character on it. That was included with the book. Absolutely love it. It contains the artwork from the Corgi editions books and such. And yeah, just a fantastic little thing to own. I got this from Steve. In the future, we will be taking a look at more of the Japanese TNT stuff. I find it just as collectible as the English printed materials. I told you we're going to be looking at a lot of stuff. Let's talk about some things with some tie-ins for Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Up first, we'll talk about a classic known over the entire world of RPG systems. Grimtooth's Traps. Grimtooth's Traps, there's many books in this series. We have quite a few of them. We're missing one of the more modern published books. It's actually a collection of all the books, so I never really got it because we have all the books. I don't know. Anyway, crazy, crazy book that's just jam-packed with elaborate and crazy and deadly traps throughout them. We're going to dedicate a whole episode to Grimtooth. I got a lot to show you with Grimtooth. Steve Crompton, this is one of the first projects he got to work on back in 1981 with Flying Buffalo Incorporated. So we get to see a lot of his early Flying Buffalo art inside the Grimtooth Trap books themselves. Okay? But it's always been associated with Tunnels and Trolls because it came from Flying Buffalo Incorporated, and there have been tie-ins with Tunnels and Trolls such as Grimtina's Guard. So definitely, you know, something fun to have with any role-playing game system, but definitely has its place with Tunnels and Trolls. Grimtooth was a troll from Troll World, I believe envisioned by Liz Danforth. So yeah, lots of tie-ins. Next up, we have the Catalyst series of Flying Buffalo Incorporated books. They were books that were Game Master aids to all role-playing games. But again, published by Flying Buffalo Incorporated, they went hand in hand with Tunnels and Trolls players. What I have here is City Book 1. I absolutely love these. I use them for my solo play for pulling NPCs and stuff. But what they do is they detail entire areas with NPCs, story hooks, treasure and loot, just all kind of different stuff. The whole area is just laid out for you. Now, how does this tie in with Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls? The answer is that the magic system that's talked about in the city books themselves influenced the way that Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls magic system would be structured. It's called the 5 C's. We'll get into that when we dive into the rule book in the next episode. But those are some fun things with some tie-ins to Tunnels and Trolls. Let's get back to some solo adventure modules and different things from the past. First we have Sea of Mystery. One I haven't played yet, so can't tell you much about that one. This one is a special one for me. When the Cat's Away. This has 3 solitaire adventures inside of it. My favorite one and one of my favorite solo adventures of all time, just for the wackiness and funny bits of it, is called Solo for the Intellectually Challenged by Rick Loomis. Hey, a perfect solo for me, the way I'm talking here tonight. But yeah, it's hilarious. It's a humor-filled solo. And yeah, all 3 of these solos are fantastic. If you have a wizard character or a rogue character that's a magic caster, you definitely want to check this one out. When the Cat's Away, you are an apprentice wizard. And then you have the second one, which is the Sorcerer Solitaire. Okay, so 2 very magic-oriented solo adventures included, along with Rick Loomis's humor with the Solo for the Intellectually Challenged. Absolutely love it. In fact, you're going to go over here. Big classic, Red Circle. And again, guys, these are older solos, but you're going to have no issues playing them with the deluxe rules. In fact, the deluxe rule set actually has a section devoted to using to older solos, and tells you basically all you have to remember is how to use your talents and such that are present in the deluxe version or edition. The Amulet of Sakti. What a cover. And a lot of these were published under the Blade name, but that was a division at the time of Flying Buffalo Incorporated. And Red Circle, by the way, another Michael Stackpole solo. Sorry I didn't mention the names. Sea of Mystery, G. Arthur Rahman. And we have the Amulet of Sakti, David Stephen Moskowitz. Big one. Gamesman of Khazar. You want to get involved in a weird fantasy game? In the setting, you know, a game that the culture plays. This is definitely one to check out. This one was written by Roy Crom, author of Misty Wood. Beyond the Silvered Plain. This is a pretty beefy solo here. Written by James and Stephen Marciniak. Okay, I haven't tried this one out just yet, but I look forward to it. I got too much stuff to play, guys. Here's an older adventure module by Bear Peters, and it's Catacombs of the Bear Cult Level 1. And this one is from Flying Buffalo Incorporated. It's got plastic on it because of its age, so hopefully we don't have too bad of a glare. This is an older module. Like I said, Bear Peters has been involved with Tunnels and Trolls almost from inception. And the material he's written for Tunnels and Trolls is standout good. Up next, we have sort of a funny one. In fact, I'm actually going to pull this one out. It is Uncle Ugly's Underground by John Carver, who is the brother to Rob Carver, who's done a whole lot of illustration work for Tunnels and Trolls from near its beginning again. Now, what's funny about this version of this is that it is actually the Outlaw Press version. Outlaw Press, it's one of the companies who in the past have sort of pirated Tunnels and Trolls material and published it without rights. Okay? So normally I avoid stuff like that at all costs. Let's support the companies that give us the gaming material. Let's support the authors and the illustrators, the artists, everybody involved. Let's not support scumbags. But the funny thing about this one is I was looking for it. I never could find it. And Steve Crompton sold it to me. So I got a bootleg version of an official Flying Buffalo Incorporated product from Flying Buffalo. Now, well, not from Flying Buffalo. I got it from Steve. It was out of his personal collection. But I think that's funny, you know. And yeah, it's a great little. It's a small, but it's a great little Game Master adventure for you to check out. Get the official one, unless Steve sells it to you, or Ken, or Liz, or somebody. Get the official one. Up next, let me pull this one out of the plastic here. This is a fantastic one. This is a Judges Guild published solo adventure from Ken St. Andre, and it is none other than the toughest dungeon in the world. Now, Judges Guild, they did have rights to publish stuff. They weren't one of the bootleg publishers and stuff. And they put out, I believe, 4 different things for Tunnels and Trolls. I know Rat on a Stick and such. They're pretty good stuff. But this one's a neat one because if the history of the toughest dungeon in the world, Ken actually wrote it for a sister game of Tunnels and Trolls. We'll see it in a minute. Monsters, where you played as the monsters of Troll World, as you played as goblins or Uruks or trolls or whatever. You know, it had rules for creating the what is normally considered the opposition of characters in role-playing games. But Judges Guild wanted to publish it under the Tunnels and Trolls banner, but it actually ended up getting published for Tunnels and Trolls and Monsters. And it is a very tough dungeon. Okay, it lives up to its name. Fantastic piece of history with Tunnels and Trolls and Kevin Sambita, and it's just fantastic, you know. So it's one you may want to be on the lookout for, but you probably don't want this version of it. There's a Monsters second edition new version of this. We won't see it in this video, okay? We will see it when we cover Monsters. Speaking of Monsters and Monsters, let's go ahead and just pull out second edition Monsters. We just explained that it was a sister game. This is the second edition rule set. I believe it came out in 2020. It shares the rule set in most all ways with Tunnels and Trolls. And Ken has named this as the true successor of Tunnels and Trolls since the rights have went to a new company. With Monsters, because the rule sets are pretty much the same in many regards, that you can, if you're looking to get in Tunnels and Trolls now and you can't afford or find, you know, Deluxe or whatever, you can absolutely go over to Drive-Thru RPG or get with Steve and Ken, whoever, and get a copy of this and begin playing immediately. You know, absolutely love it. But that is a sister game to Tunnels and Trolls. Another sister game, and one I absolutely am just crazy for, is Mercenary Spies and Private Eyes by Michael Stackpole. It's a contemporary game, but I mostly use it for pulp style game and Indiana Jones style stuff. Absolutely love it. You know, it has tie-ins with Tunnels and Trolls, such as the section on Thompsons and Trolls, you know, Tommy guns and Trolls. We will devote a whole episode to this, okay? But I absolutely love it. Now, getting back to Tunnels and Trolls. A few other small bits, pieces, and things to wrap up and talk about. We have here, this was published in 2013, and it was made explicitly for the Texicon, but it's pretty easy to find a copy, and they're normally pretty cheap. It is Trollhammer, a solo adventure by Ken St. Andre, and a fairly good adventure, even though it's shorter in length. One with an interesting history. We have a first edition solo adventure module created by Ken St. Andre, and it is called Saving Fang from the Pits of Margul. Published by Flying Buffalo Incorporated. Now, what's so interesting about this is this was written, I believe, in 2013 and published, August 2013, first edition. Ken, while they were working on Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, the Kickstarter, he went back and he wrote this adventure because technically the first edition of Tunnels and Trolls never received a solo adventure module. By the time Buffalo Castle was written in 1976, Tunnels and Trolls had already moved away from the first edition. I love the fact that they printed it in black and white and they staple bound it the way they did. It truly looks like something that you would find for first edition. It's full of fantastic art, and it's a really fun adventure module to play with. Of course, it's easily playable with the deluxe version. Up next, something that I try to find with any campaign setting worlds that I really enjoy, and that's fiction for them. Now, Troll World has received a great deal of fiction. Some of it's in The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Some of it's been done by independent authors and published in different forms and in different places throughout the life of Tunnels and Trolls. This one I wanted to show off is called Mage's Blood and Old Bones, and it is a Tunnels and Trolls shared world anthology of short stories. I absolutely love it. It has Elizabeth, or Liz, as she's more commonly known, Liz Danforth, Ken St. Andre's, Bear Peters, Michael Stackpole, Catherine Kerr, and Mark O'Green contributed stories to this. It's illustrated, and the stories, even though they're short stories, I love the fact that it gives you an idea or an inside look at the campaign setting, the troll world. You know, get an idea for cultures and cities and different places and different things, you know, in the world. I absolutely love it. I believe Ken, on his drive-through page, has some other novels and short stories and stuff centered around Troll World. But if you can find Mage's Blood and Old Bones, it's worth every penny. One more sip. Get off there. Woo! What do we have here? This is something you won't see quite often, I don't think, anymore. This is, let me stand up and see because it's going to get harder on camera. This is pre-generated characters from the computer at Flying Buffalo, done on ream paper with a dot matrix printer. You purchase this thing, and I don't know how many characters are in this. It's a ton. But at the time when these were available, which I don't know if they will ever be available again, at least like this, it was a great way to get, you know, a ton of fully fleshed out, developed characters to throw into your game or quickly throw into your solo adventures. You know, whatever adventure or whatever you were doing, you just flip through and you find the appropriate character and you're ready to go. You know, all you need is dice and the adventure from here. So it's just a fun little thing that I have in my collection I wanted to show you guys. Let's move over to the deluxe stuff that came out during the Kickstarter era of the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Rick Loomis, Steve Crompton, Ken St. Andre, Liz Danforth, Bear Peters, all these people, I mean, many, many more than that. That's just off the top of my head. Many of these people got together and created Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. For the Kickstarter, they created limited edition, very special things as reward as rewards for the backers of the Kickstarter at different tiered levels. I came in to Tunnels and Trolls, as I said in part 1, after the fact of the Kickstarter. And I don't know why, because I normally don't fall into collecting stuff for role-playing games and tabletop games. But something about Tunnels and Trolls has a high collectible factor to me. And after I got my rule book, over time I've slowly tracked down bits and pieces from the Kickstarter exclusive material. We still don't have it all. Throughout time we'll probably get more, and I'll show you guys, and I may even add little addendum things in this series after the fact, once we're done with the main wrap-up of it. As I said in part 1, this is your standard rule book. It is one of the most beautiful role-playing game books I've ever purchased and put my hands on. The attention to detail is out of this world. Like I said, it would be very hard to beat this rule book. And this is the standard copy of it. But in fact, you know, they did end up creating a book that I consider to be a superior publication in many ways. And it was a Kickstarter exclusive book. If you're wondering what's running behind me and going through the curtains, that's my Thundercat running around. Anyways, what we have here is the leather slipcase version of Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. I was able to find this when Flying Buffalo was sold and they cleaned up the warehouses and the WebSphere team got to go through all the pallets of material. They found some of the Kickstarter exclusive materials somewhere in the mix. The slipcase has the famous to Tunnels and Trolls demon head icon. And it was created by John Carter, who is a brother to Rob Carter, who is the illustrator that's been associated with Tunnels and Trolls for so long. Let's pull this out of the slipcase. And let's take a look here. Full leather binding all the way around. The gilding for the slipcase itself is not just the cheap gilding laid on top of the leather. No, this is fully stamped in gilding, both on the spine and the front cover. I love the fact that they put, even though it's much smaller than the standard rulebook, you get to see the Liz Danforth cover there without the Tunnels and Trolls and names and stuff on it. Absolutely beautiful. I love the page ends, or the trims are done in a dark troll green. And as far as the contents of the book, it is exactly the same as the standard issue. The only real difference whatsoever is the page ends are, of course, the map of Troll World, but they're done in a beige cream grayscale instead of the blue-green scale. Book nerd alert, book nerd alert. Come on, guys. But yeah, the only way to one-up the standard edition was with the slipcase edition. I had to have it. Don't play it, you know, that's a shelf queen, but I just had to have it. Another thing that was a Kickstarter exclusive was a 3-ring binder, Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls Game Master Notebook and Screen. Okay, has the John Carver demon head on it. Has a neat spine, again with the demon head. But with this 3-ring binder, this actually did something I've never seen before. And I absolutely love it as a game master. That you're able to take it and it folds out like this. I want you to see there. It folds out like this. And it actually serves as a game master screen. I absolutely love this. I've never seen anything like this out of a 3-ring binder before. Very handy if you're a game master. Also, with the Kickstarter came this wooden box. Yeah? This wooden box was designed to hold the standard hardcover book and some other goodies and stuff. and to act sort of like a classic box set for role-playing games. I never had one that had a wooden box though, so we had to have the wooden box. Come on. Inside the box, what do we have stored here? We have a Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls dice bag. It feels like felt. Everything they did with this Kickstarter, the rewards and stuff, everything was just top notch. In the dice bag, we have a set of Flying Buffalo D6, or 6-sided standard dice with the Death Head on them. Now, they had the Death Head dice that were available, and they also had dice with the John Carver Demon Head. I don't have any of the Demon Head dice just yet. Possibly with the holiday special, you know, this upcoming at the end of the month. DeathStalker V may finally get one of the Death Head dice. Who knows? But, yeah, just fantastic. And I have to say that these are some of the highest quality D6 dice I've ever had. They have a good weight to them, the rounded corners, the way they roll. I know, but, you know, you play enough games and stuff, dice matter to you. For whatever reason, you become a dice goblin, okay? For 6-sided standard dice, these are probably some of the highest quality I've ever ran into. We're digging in this box set, guys. What else do we have here? We've got quite a few of these. Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls pencils. Let's see. We're going to try to get this on the camera here. Focus. Hopefully you guys can see that. It is... it even has the Demon Head there. But it's got the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls logo on it with the Demon Head. And it says Official Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls Pencil. You get a half-die weapon when sharpened. Attention to detail. I absolutely love it. What else do we have? We have Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls standard Game Master screen. It's on really thick stock. This one's going to last a long time. The outside art of this. Look at that, guys. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. On the back side, you're getting all the stuff you're going to need to Game Master Tunnels and Trolls. You know. So, fantastic, fantastic Game Master screen that's available for Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Up next, we have something that I know Steve Crumpton's quite proud of. It's a large color map of Troll World, the campaign setting for Tunnels and Trolls. Absolutely love it. Very useful for the game. Though I don't use this one so much. I believe this is one of the ones that are numbered and signed by Steve himself. So, but yeah, just something special to show you. There's so much available. So much. I guess we can talk about that now since that advertisement's still in there. The Tunnels and Trolls Adventure app. Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. For a while there on mobile devices, on Apple and Android devices, there was a Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls game app that you could use. And it had tons and tons and tons of solitaire adventures. And you could create a character and it provided all your dice and stuff and you could play through all these adventures. There were literally tons on there. Many I don't think ever appeared except on this app. Bad news is, with the selling of Flying Buffalo Incorporated, the app's no longer available. Oh, if you have it, you're not going to be able to use it because it'll tell you that it's offline. The servers are down. Okay, but a neat little piece of Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls history, I guess. And we have some Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls copies of player sheets. One last thing I see over here. We talked about Elven Lords. This is another one I picked up from the warehouse finds. It's the Deluxe Color 100 edition. Leather bound, beautiful, full color artwork. Wow, you know, normally I'm fine with black and white art and I really don't think about it or pay it attention. But seeing the comparison, I'm sure I've buried, there it is. I've buried the black and white artwork underneath here. But seeing the comparison You know, the black and white artwork and stuff. It's beautiful, and it's great. But seeing it compared with the full color artwork in this limited edition leather bound version, it really just changes it a lot. I don't know. Anyways, I've about talked myself hoarse here. This is one-shot stuff we do around here. Hopefully it stayed coherent. Some final thoughts on Tunnels and Trolls, I guess, or Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls. Like I said, it has a high collectability to it, at least for me, and I've had other people agree with me. They tell me the same, that for whatever reason, you get some of this stuff and you get a taste for it, and the quality of it and the way it's presented and stuff, you just absolutely want more down the road. Now, a lot of this stuff that I've shown you is not commonly available right now. Flying Buffalo Incorporated was sold off, and the printing and publication of Tunnels and Trolls and Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls is sort of in limbo. Okay, we explained this in part 1 of our series. So finding the physical print stuff, you're going to have to probably hit up secondhand stores like Noble Knight Games or sellers on eBay or Amazon. Don't go too crazy paying a ton of money to get it. Now, yes, some of the limited edition stuff like this slipcase cover, you know, this will probably never be printed again, or it shouldn't be anyways. And so, yeah, to find that, it's going to cost you a little bit. It wasn't cheap for me, guys. It's just something that, hey, I just wanted to have. The box and stuff, you'll see these things pop up on eBay. Yeah? Don't go crazy for it. I mean, I'm not telling you not to. I don't know what I mean for that. Don't go for the crazy prices for it. You know, I've seen this listed on eBay for $599. Don't pay that unless you're just absolutely desperate. I think I paid under $200 for it, and it was still brand new in shrink wrap. I just had to open it and see for myself. But especially with the older stuff, if you're patient and you wait, you will find it, and you will find it at a great price. Okay, that's why I go slow collecting things that I collect. I wait until the price is right. If you are a person who enjoys using PDF at your tabletop or on the go or whatever, PDF book forms, electronic books, Flying Buffalo Incorporated, the store, still there on Drive-Thru RPG. And if they don't have everything here that I've showed today at the table, I would be surprised. Now, I don't know about the old stuff like the Sorcerer's Apprentice magazine and such, but for Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls, I would be surprised if it was no longer available in PDF form on Drive-Thru. In fact, last time I looked, there was much more available than Flying Buffalo had printed before being sold. There was plans to print, but it sold. So it's definitely a way that if you want to enjoy Tunnels and Trolls and you're okay with PDF books and such, it's a great way to go in. They're normally very inexpensive, you know, $2.95, $3.95, maybe $5.95 for solo adventures and stuff. And that's just the way to go if all you're wanting to do is play this game and enjoy it. Anyways, I absolutely love Tunnels and Trolls. As you can see, part 3, we're going to be diving directly into the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls rulebook itself. We're going to go step by step for things like character creation, combat, magic. We'll look at Troll World. We'll look at the additional rules and different things and talk about how they come together and how this game functions. And then in the next part, we're going to put all this stuff together and talk about gameplay in general and how I go about it. Okay? Anyways, this has been one long random encounter show. I appreciate it. If you stuck here, you get some experience points from DeathStalker V. He's your game master tonight. If you're still here, you just leveled up. Anyways, there goes the Thundercat. I'm DeathStalker V, and this has been the Random Encounter Show. Hey, this is DeathStalker V. I wanted to thank you for watching the Random Encounter Show. If you love tabletop gaming, solo RPGing, or classic video games, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. If you want more of the show, head over to our channel's About page. There you will find our Facebook and Facebook group pages where you can join in on the fun. Want to help support the show? Make sure to use our affiliate and sponsor links next time you're shopping for your favorite gaming products. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time when we roll for Random Encounter.